Lamadan Gompoche Tsunjampeyan La Chatselu Gangi Lodru Jibni Jintar Nitar Namdar Abzal Jinye Dungu Jishin Zijiri Niki Tukar Lebamzin Ane Zipe Tsundrar Mari Mundum Dunga Jisirwe 조조 군라 부지 타즈예 주주 양된중 육다르 체르조년 모니로 내기 자주르제지 마리 문제 둥한 유구진예 주제라지남 눈에 다지 자주 달즈는 윤대 누즈 야제 두부 구추라 주단 주니 진제 달르 문제 잠베 야라드 오마라바사나 디디디디디디디디디디 오마라바사나 디디디디 디디디디디디디디디디 Omara Patana Omara Patana Ti Sede Cheki Chenrab Useki Dalu Timu Mun Parabzal Kadan Tenju Julu Topai Lodru Bobe Nawatadu Lokante Tawaradu Bam Junze Jiwaradu Nayam Kunbu Jamyan Jenini Kegme Parayang Tongwar Shu. So, welcome to our class today. We're going to just finish up. There's a couple of pages on that book we have been using. I thought it would be good to just go through just to finish the whole book, actually. The last chapter is just a couple of appendixes, but I think they're useful to keep in mind. So basically, it's just telling us how to go about translating the sentences. With you already intuitively know, but this is just a method of going about it. So the first thing to do is to look at the main verb, because the verb tells us the structure of the sentence, right? Once we recognize the verb, the kind of verb that we have, we get a sense. Okay, we know what structure to look for. We know if there might be an agente particle. We know if maybe if the verb is in infinitive form, maybe it's a relative clause. So first, look at the verbs in the sentences, in the structures. Then after that, we group them together into blocks. Personally, if I'm translating, I like to, I mean, if I have an actual paper that I'm writing on, I like to mark with brackets the sections. This helps in my mind to compartmentalize. So then usually these nominal groups are joined by the particles. So then you begin to see how that particle actually applies to a whole group, a whole block. And then you can think in terms of the relationships between the blocks as wholes. It makes it easier to get an understanding of the sentence, because as you know, if we group them incorrectly, then the meaning also gets changed. Then you go through every particle and figure out which function, then you translate it. Then this is a little bit more of a, there is an art to translation also, right? We cannot apply a formula that will always work. It's a little bit of, you have to experiment a little bit, you know. Then the next page is just a summary of the functions of the particles. This is useful to, it's a useful sheet to keep with you when you're translating. For example, the connected particle will say of, adjective, or apposition. We already know all this, but it's just like a summary, which is nice to see. Adjunctive particle uses, there's more uses than this, as we know. Uh, Ladon particle, the different ladons, what they do, the source particles, what they could do, and then verbal uses. So remember, there's nominal uses, and there's also verbal, which will act differently if the particle comes after the verb. So we went over this recently, but just like a nice little summary. Uh, a few notes on this. Then we have the Wiley writing, which we learned really soon after we learned how to read. So nothing new. Here, these are some examples of Wiley, how to write Wiley. And then the 8 grammar cases. I thought this is good to mention now. I think it's important to know which kind of text we're working with. If the text is a translation, if our text is in Tibetan, but we know it has been translated from Sanskrit, for example, I don't know if you're reading the Bodhicharya Vatara, for instance, which is such a popular text in studied, everybody studies the, in Tibetan it's called Chunjuk. The short name is Chunjuk. Chu is conduct, Sapatapayata, Chanaro Choda Chu. Juk is to engage, it's like engaging in the conduct. We know that this original text, this text was originally written in Sanskrit. So, and Sanskrit uses these grammatical cases. So, if translating this text, it helps to know. However, it is not necessary. I feel like this really is up to each one of us. Like it depends how technical you want to get. Or I should mention this. So there is 2 main grammar texts developed by Tommy Sambhota. I think I might have said this in the beginning of the class. Tommy Sambhota was sent by King Sonsengampo to learn these Indian scripts. He went to India and I think he sent a couple of people, but the only one who survived was Tommy Sambhota, and he learned many Indian scripts and developed the Tibetan writing system based on them. He wrote more texts, but only 2 have survived. Basically, the Takchupa and the Sumchupa. I forget which one is which, but one of them deals with particles and one of them deals with verbs. And if you were to study grammar properly, I mean, not that our class was improper, of course, but if you were to study in a more traditional way, like if you were a young monk, maybe in your next life you'll you'll choose your rebirth more carefully. You'll be reborn as a monk somewhere. Then you can when you're young, you have to memorize these texts, and then you, based on that, you learn everything. The way I have explained this, actually, I'm guiding this group now. Most of them are Europeans. They're disciples of Tolpo Tulku. Tolpo Tulku goes to Europe every year, so his disciples are European. Excuse me. I'm getting a little bit sick because Kathmandu is so polluted. There's so much dust everywhere. Like I'm going on my bike and having all this dust. Anyways, so there's this guy. Also, he's like maybe 64, I guess, from Germany, and he he also started. He's taking a class somewhere learning Tibetan, and he started in January, and he cannot even read. He cannot even read the. I told him, I showed him something. I said, I read this, and he couldn't read it. Then, then of course, I had to brag about my students. They're translating, and then I try to get him to buy my online course, of course. But anyways, just so you know, like be proud of your progress. So, but anyways, these are these are the texts that we would study. I know some translators. One of my teachers at Ranyon Yeshe, she thinks I caught her thinking in using the eight grammar cases. Like if she's looking at a sentence, she thinks, okay, which case is this? Okay, it's like that. Every time she translates, she's conceptualizing her translation in terms of the eight grammar cases. I also aspire to do that. I haven't actually sat down and memorized them yet. In all honesty, my way of translating is a little bit more intuitive. Of course, we need the technicalities that we have learned, but in the case, for example, of Karma Lasom, I know she's very much intuitive. She does not use this at all, but her translations are accurate. For example, Lama Karma will teach using a text from Dujom Rinpoche. It's a very short summary of the of Bardo practice, and Lama Alang and Yang Chen translated it already. Actually, they translate so fast. I was like, just in a couple of days, they had translated 20 pages, like lightning speed translation. These Lama Alan and Yang Chen. These are really, really smart. They're extremely smart. And then they checked it to be reviewed by Karmalasum, and Karmalasum found a couple of small issues there. And actually, when I have an issue, I ask her to. Even though she doesn't think in terms of these, she has an intuitive sense of the situation. But also, she was raised using a very similar language, so we don't have that advantage. But anyways, the eight grammar cases, I'll just go over them briefly, just because this is good to know. Uh, The first case, Minsam, just basically just name, and it's just a noun basically. The first case is just noun, you know. Ch- So you can function as an object, direct object. It can be the subject. It can be the predicate. It can be anything, but basically it's just a name. Ming Tsam. Ming is name. Tsam is just a name. So this is the first grammar case. The second case, Namjin Nipa, is a Lesu Jawa, which is performing an action. So the it could be the object, Kongi Sup La, a place of activity, Sangaki Kyaghar Tu, is basically um, it marks the object of where it is happening. Pela Kong Pela to the third case is the agentive particle, basically. We already know. By the way, if you want a more thorough explanation of the cases, I recommend checking out that book. Um, I forget the author, but it's the blue book that I gave a while back. what's the name? Do you guys remember? I gave that blue book in the beginning of the course, and I used it once to explain something, but they have really good examples, and they're a lot more thorough than this. This is just like a very, very superficial. Hmm. The fourth case is a ladon. This actually really helped me because I had forgotten about this use of ladon before. It's the la also can tell you the need or the purpose of doing something. So basically, for example, lame ninje chempu loma la pen. So benefits the disciples by means of his great compassion, the Lama. Um, Rawa Penpa La. So in order to benefit the sentient beings, Parchintuk Kompar Cha. One is to meditate on the Parchintuk, the six paramitas, in order to benefit La. This La is functioning in this case. In a way, it's very well. We have studied this in a way already. That the book is loosely structured around this, but they have presented it in different order that they found more useful. The fifth is the source particle, which we also learned recently. The sixth is a connective particle, which is I believe is the first particle that we learned. And the seventh is the locative. So something good to keep in mind is that out of these eight particles, three are ladon, which are the seventh case, the fourth case, the purpose of, and the second. These are all ladon. So ladon covers a lot of ground, you know. I imagine in Sanskrit there might be using different particles, right, Federico? I would imagine. I don't know.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So in Tibetan they're using the one particle, this ladon, for three of the cases. So it's good, really useful to keep this in mind. And the last particle is not much. It's the easiest one, I guess. I guess the first one is the easiest. The last one is the second easiest, which is just vocative. You're just sort of like saying hey or something like that. And that's it. We have officially finished our book now. So just a couple of useful things there. Um, good job finishing our book. Now let me find the next book. Um, okay. All right. So I'm in the second book on page 8 of the second book. So this is very lovely that we can actually move on to an actual text. Because before we were just basically taking snippets, little snippets of things and going through them. But now this is a real text. This is a real Buddhist text. We want to look at an actual Buddhist text. This is like us jumping in the deep end of the pool now. Now, this text is composed by Gampopa. It's not the whole text. We've pulled out some sections from this text. So Gampopa is the uh, father of the Kaju lineages actually. The Kaju has different lineages that are independent from each other, and they all come from Gampopa. So Gampopa actually he his contribution to the Kaju lineage is that he systematized two lineages actually came from him because before he met Milarepa, he was a disciple of Kadampa masters. So Kadam is a lineage or coming from Atisha. So he was a monk. Actually, before he was a doctor. Then his family, there was an epidemic or something, and his family and his wife and son or son's daughters, I don't remember. I think two, one son and one daughter maybe. They passed away, and he became very disillusioned with samsara after his family died. So he went to study with these Kadampa masters. And then one day he heard about Milarepa and he felt a lot of devotion. So he went to look for him and trained under Milarepa. And he is regarded as the foremost of Milarepa's disciple. However, as a side note, some scholars and some lineages disagree, saying because sometimes he's called the sun-like disciple and Rechumpa is called the moon-like disciple, but some people say that actually Rechumpa was the main guy, but Rechumpa's lineage didn't really survive so much. There is a little bit of it in the Drukpa Kajus, especially. But anyways, that's another story. So basically, the thing to keep in mind here is that Kampopa comes from the lineage of Atisha, which became sort of a monastic lineage, and Atisha actually he's the creator of the Lam Rim. Of Lam Rim means stages of the path teachings. He developed this style of teachings because what had happened in Tibet is that Guru Rinpoche came to Tibet with Shantarakshita and Kamalashila, Vimalamitra came. All these great masters came. They established the Dharma during the time of the Tibetan Empire. And uh, then the Dharma collapsed, right? Lang Dharma came, he destroyed everything. He destroyed the monasteries. There's only one person saved the lineage, and the Ngakpas stayed, but the Ngakpas were a little bit wild, I guess. And during this time, Buddhism became corrupted. They call it the Dark Ages of Buddhism in Tibet. And according to some books I have read, people were basically these people were doing tantric practice, but they had no foundation in the Mahayana. So they were kind of like doing black magic and doing. I've read they were even doing like human sacrifices and like using tantric methods. Things got really, really wild. So this king, a descendant of the Tibetan king, went and got exiled to Western Tibet. I think his name was Shiwa. I believe him and his son, and like they somehow took all the gold that they had and went to send somebody to India to invite Atisha to beg him to come to Tibet because the Dharma was degenerated and they needed someone to reestablish the real Dharma once again. So somehow they managed, and Atisha actually came through Nepal. He was here for 3 years, and I'm taking my group to see the monastery where he stayed, in which there is a copy of the Pragya Paramita in 100,000 lines discovered by Nagarjuna, supposedly. So, anyways, Atisha came to Tibet, and then he reestablished the Dharma. But basically, what Atisha did is he developed these stages of the path, Labrim style of literature, which is a gradual approach that unites Sutra and Tantra. So before Atisha, there was this wild Ngakpas in Tibet were tantrikas and they were doing all these crazy things, and they had kind of forgotten about Sutra. There was no foundation on the Sutric path, which is very dangerous. So Atisha reestablished this, and based on this text, is called the Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment. It's a short text that unites gradually, starting with Sutra, and it develops all the way to Tantra. Because this text was so amazing, everybody loved it. Everybody composed their own version. For example, Words of My Perfect Teacher, Kunsan Lame Gelung, is a Lamrim text based on Atisha's model. Tsongkhapa's Lamrim is the Gelugpa's Lamrim text. And there's three versions, and the Sakyas have the Lamdre, It's also the Lamrim text modeled on the Tishas using for their own lineage. And for the Kaju, I think the most recent one that they use is the commentary, I think the Torch of Serenity by Japon Control, but originally this is the first Lamrim text, which was composed by Gampopa, which is called the Jewel Ornament of Liberation. But now we're going to refer to it by its Tibetan name. It's called Dakpo Tagien. Dakpo is the place where Gampopa is from or lived. I forget, but they call him Dakpo. Dakpo Tarpa is liberation. Yen is ornament. This is a long name, but all Tibetan texts have a here's a Tar Kien. All Tibetan texts have a really long name, but they also have like a short name that because you cannot, it's such a mouthful, you know. For example, Bodhicharya Vatara, I think it's called Chanchu Changchup Sempe Chapala Jukpa. Chanchu Sempe Chapala Jukpa, but we say Chonjuk. So this all the texts will always have their long name and they have their short, like, you know, like if you have a friend that has a long name, you call him the short form, right? Something like that. So this is the background of the text. It's important if we're going to look at a text, it's really important to know the background of the text. That's why I'm explaining all this. If you don't know the background, if you don't know the context, it's difficult to translate, you know. So if you ever encounter a text that you're trying to translate, try to get as much background information as you can from whoever the source of the text is. Also, this text has been translated many times. It exists already in English, but I recommend for the sake of our class, don't look at the English. Even if you have read the text in English, you might not remember all the details. So just for the sake of our class, I recommend think look through this text through the lens of Tibetan language. It's easy to look at the English. If you look at the English, you will figure it out quick, you know, because already somebody already translated it. But I recommend abstain yourself from looking at the English and just try to break the structure from within the Tibetan.
So Daniel, did you,
Yes.
and actually if we're not supposed to know it because we have to translate it, but because I got distracted by the torch of certainty, which I've
Uh-huh.
actually got. Um,
Yeah.
so so what is the name of this again?
This is called Dakpo Tarjen in Tibetan. It's called the jewel ornament of liberation, or sometimes also translated as the precious ornament of liberation, or something like that. But it's the Gampopa's main Lamrim text. It's every single Kagyu Lama studies this text. It's a classic. This is a classic. Uh, I think when Chogyam Trungpa was in US, this is the first text he got translated, I think, into English. This is yeah, this is a classic. Gampopa's classic text. It's a really good text actually. It's really, as we go through, you guys will see it's an amazing text. Of course, we'll just translate a few sections, but in the future, I really recommend studying this text. It's really good. So, this is our text, and now we'll get started. How we will go about this is we will. I haven't decided how to go about it. Usually in RYI, we would translate a little bit together in class. Then each student would do some translation on their own. And then we would bring it to class and we would compare our translations. So I think this is a good way to go about it, but I also don't want to force you. If you don't want to do your homework, it's also fine. So what we can do is whoever does their homework, there's no pressure. Like if you're busy doing other work, you don't have to do your homework. But if you have free time, then I will give a small amount of text for us to work on. And then we bring it to the class and we talk how we translated, what was our conceptual process of translation. We will break it down like that. and by means of that, we also clarify the points of the translation. So now, we'll just do a few lines together, whatever we can do today, and then from there we will. From the next class, I'll just assign a small section, and then you can just break it down in your own time. So this is the title. Tamche Ishingi Norbu Tarpa Rinpoche Yenshe Jawa Chuo Niki Tekpa Chempe Lam Rimki Shepa Shukso. This is the title of the text, and like I said, the short title is Dakpo Tarjin. Tar is liberation, Yen is ornament. Now, uh, there are many. I don't think there's any new words here. We know all these words, I guess. Maybe the new word is this, perhaps. Ishingi Norbu. This is what is usually translated in English as wish fulfilling jewel. Maybe you guys have heard lamas talk about the wish fulfilling jewel, Always like finding this precious human body is like a wish fulfilling jewel. Or it's like, you know, not using your precious human body is like going to an island full of wish fulfilling jewels and not bringing anything back. This is a really used metaphor, but literally, yi is one word for mind. Jin, literally, Jin means like. That's the literal mean like. Gi, Norbu. Norbu is, I'm sure you guys might know this word. Norbu is just a jewel. If you have a Tibetan girlfriend, you can call her Norbu also. She will like it. My my jewel. So Yishingi Norbu literally means the jewel of that is alike the mind, something like that. But this whole thing, we will translate as it's translated as wish fulfilling jewel. It's just like a standard translation. It doesn't quite. We cannot do a literal translation, but that's the way to translate it. Tamche or Tampiche, the holy dharma or the sacred dharma. Tarpa is liberation. Rinpoche, again, ornament. Now this Shejawa. This is always actually Shejawa Shukso. This Shejawa Shukso is always in the title of every text. Basically, it just means is what is called. It's called to. Surprisingly, in this text somehow is separated by other things, but chuo chuo is chu is water, right? Chuo is river. Chuo ni, the two rivers. So the two rivers refers, like I explained, because Gampopa is becoming these two streams, right? The Kadampa and the Kaju, like the monastic lineage of the Kadampas and the yogic lineage of Milarepa. He combined them both, and then he came up with a lineage. Actually, we have to thank Gampopa for the spread of the Kaju lineage. Before Gampopa, I mean, Marpa had a couple of disciples. Milarepa had like a couple of crazy yogis, but nobody could keep up with him. Milarepa was really like, who can go and like live like him? But from Gampopa onwards, Gampopa had many disciples. He established a monastery. It is from Gampopa on that the Kaju really like took off. And Gampopa had these disciples, like Karmapa gave rise to the Karma Kaju. Pagmadrupa and Pagmadrupa's disciples gave rise to the Jigong Kaju and to the Drupa Kaju, which are the main lineages now. So Gampopa is really like the one who made the lineage explode. If the lineage had stayed with Milarepa, I feel like I don't know if the lineage would even be still alive today. It's too wild. It's too difficult to keep up, you know. Anyways, Tekpa Chempe, Mahayana, Lam Rim. This is the style. So if you see Lam Rim, every time you see Lam Rim, you know now what it entails. It's the stages of the path style. Y Shepa. Shepa is like you can say like explanation. It's to say, but you can say explanation. Shukso. Okay. Um Now I open the floor. Who would like to translate this now? You want to give it a shot, Federico?
I don't know. Let's see. Well, hmm.
Let me know
So,
if you need a word,
uh,
let me know.
yeah. Do you mind? I will gently try to recall the pieces before
Yeah.
assembling them. Um,
Mhm.
Now, Damche is precious Dharma.
Yeah.
Uh,
I would say
yeah,
Damche, Ishin
Yesh
Kinorbu.
is the wish fulfilling jewel.
Yeah.
And then we have this Tarpo liberation.
Yes.
And what was
Rinpoche.
Rin? Oh, Rinpoche.
Yeah. Rinpoche, precious. The precious
Precious.
liberation.
Yeah, the precious liberation. So we have the precious liberation.
Yeah.
We have,
And let's do one more. Let's do one more word before we end it. This one also.
yeah.
Yen. Yen means an ornament.
Okay.
So we can start from here. The ornament.
Ornament of
Mhm.
of precious liberation.
Mhm.
But then where goes uh the noble dharma, which is a wish fulfilling jam, or maybe
Mhm.
not. Oh, noble. Maybe is no
So
noble
actually,
dharma, which is a wish
yeah.
fulfilling jam.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. But actually, the verb is here. It's called, but I'm taking this as an apposition. Remember that for the apposition, the connective particle is present, but sometimes there is no connective particle. I see this as an apposition. So
Uh, yes.
Dampeche, yeah, like the Damche Yishinki Norbu, so the sacred Dharma, which is like a wishful feeling jewel, or the wishful
Or
feeling. Uh-huh. Yeah, go ahead.
you mean opposition, like a comma or something like this?
Yeah, a comma or which is also.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing that you're saying. This, which is this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. But how? So we have as of three things. We
Mm-hmm.
have precious dharma, wish fulfilling jam,
Mm-hmm.
and the jewel ornament of liberation.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, the ornament. I literally
the
oh,
precious dharma, which is this or this
mhm.
and this,
Yeah.
maybe.
So
Okay.
actually, as we can see, as Federico pointed out, we have these three elements, and at this point, it's not clear. So it's up to the translator to choose
Yeah.
the more likely answer. So this is, I just wanted us to encounter this because this is what we're always going to encounter.
Hmm. So
Um, go ahead.
there's a. Uh, it's interesting. I wonder if it's the same in Tibetan, in Sanskrit, where when there are multiple possibilities, most often they somehow simultaneously play out, and it's not possible to translate such. construction. So sometimes, in fact, most often, the skillful Sanskrit writer will use the double meaning. So if there are, say, two interpretations that are compatible, they would be both implied. It's not like one is correct, the other is not. Is there anything similar in Tibetan?
Well, because I believe so. I believe
Okay.
so. But because like the way I learned is we're in a class and we have an assignment and we have to provide the assignment in English,
Yes.
we are forced to choose
Okay.
and then we have to do it. And also if you're translating, it depends how you want to do it. To be honest, in the beginning of my learning Tibetan path, I refused to translate because I wanted to conceptualize it in Tibetan, you know? Like because I see the value in it. So it really depends on how you want to go about it. I feel like to start with is really useful to translate. It makes a really big difference because by translating we get the meaning actually correctly. Before I thought I was getting the meaning, but I really wasn't, you know.
Yes, yes.
So I think for the sake of us doing this work, I want to invite us to translate, but keep this in mind, what you just mentioned, that maybe the author had a double, triple, or more meanings simultaneously in mind.
So in this case, which translation you feel is the best?
Um, I would say I would go from right to left a little bit, like the ornament of precious liberation, which is, it just sounds better in English if I say the sacred Dharma, which is a wish fulfilling you of the sacred Dharma.
Oh, of the sacred Dharma.
Yeah. I would say so, but it's not. I'm not. I'm just
Yeah,
guessing.
yeah. There's nothing
Yeah,
in the grammar that.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make it. At this point, I would just go for what sounds good in English, like because we really want our translation to be read
Yes.
by someone and benefit the practitioners who don't know Tibetan. It's
Controller,
very easy. Yeah.
you mentioned earlier that you will bracket the section. So for this one, where you will bracket it from where to where and then from where to where?
I
For
would see this as 3 sections.
yeah.
Damche,
Ah.
Jishingi Norbu, Tarpa Rinpoche Gyen. Then from there I would see, because I feel like there could be particles there that I'm sorry, here, right? That could be inserted. Unfortunately, this happens a lot in Tibetan, like
Yeah, they omit all this. So I tried and then it's
yeah,
interesting. Like there's bits and pieces here and there.
yeah,
You have to make up the sentence by yourself.
yes.
Oh,
This is
but
phenomenal.
maybe the original meaning. Okay, there are 3 things: A, comma, sort of, A or dash, B dash C. So it's almost like the 3 are equivalent.
I would say so, yeah. So I see them as being equivalent.
Yeah.
The thing is that how to word it in English.
How to word it? Yeah.
That's the art. I'm calling it the art of translation.
Yeah,
How are you
this is
going
the
to
same
express it?
thing how Chinese translate also, because Chinese words are able to capture how Tibetan do it. So like under ordinary Chinese sentences, like people like me, I won't understand it. It's like very poetic. So yeah, for Chinese, because when I read Chinese, the same thing like I read Tibetan. So it's just like it's not fluent like English fluent, one sentence, the and and all this. They don't have all this.
Yeah. Actually, English is a very precise language. I mean, they use this language for science. In English is quite precise. There's not a lot of room for ambiguity. And in a way, in this case, it's like a clutch. It's like a,
Right.
you know.
But also there's the disadvantage of the the way the English translate, because the English are unable to capture the in-depth meaning of all these poetic sentences of this
Yeah.
Tibetan and the Chinese. Because
Yeah,
English is
yeah.
so direct, and then people tell a lot of master English is very easy and simple. But the
Yeah.
master keeps saying that English actually cannot capture the in-depth meaning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really good language to make business with, right? But then
Yeah.
to
Right.
for this is it can be challenging, but we have to do it because it's
Yeah.
the language. The Dharma is relatively vast, relatively a little bit vast in English compared to other languages.
Mhm.
Like I have some friends who don't speak English, they only speak Spanish and they cannot read any Dharma books almost, you know. They're like they're trapped in Spanish, and the Spanish is so bad for Dharma. I mean, I read some, at least for me, like I have to develop a taste for it, I guess, but it sounds so unusual. But anyways,
Could here
uh,
be, could we make not super elegant and not super well sounding in English, but to somewhat extent capturing this A equal B equal C
yeah,
original, put just or in between the two. A or B or C is the title,
yes,
implying that they are interchangeable.
yes, I would do that as a rough draft, you know, because
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very easy. It's very easy to get stuck on one sentence and spend half an hour there. I think we have to do a rough draft,
Okay.
and then later, like if you were doing this as a translation work,
Mhm.
we would do a rough draft, and then you would revise, and then ornament and make the grammar more fluid. I
Yeah.
think that's the way to go. Otherwise, if you try to make each section perfect, the translation will never progress, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to be a little bit practical too. It's like balance practicality versus the meaning coming through. It's like there's a few things that somehow we have to balance, you know. Okay, so what is your how you want to express it, Federico?
Sorry.
How would you like to express this?
Well,
The-
as a first drop, as you pointed out, I would say it in this manner: precious dharma or wish fulfilling jewel, or the precious ornament of liberation. Now, you said that this construction with she and shukso at the end would
yeah,
collectively, the whole thing.
yeah. Shejawa Shukso.
Shajawa
Yeah.
would mean this is the title, but what are the two pieces? For example, Shejawa, what would
Uh,
this be on its own somehow?
for
If
example,
it
here,
has any
like,
meaning.
I don't know if you guys can read this. Shejawa Shukso.
Let me just, sorry, I'll just make it bigger for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is usually like this at the end of the text. Most texts you will see
Okay.
Shejawa Shukso. It just means it literally it's called.
Uh,
Sometimes
sh-
sometimes it's even not translated because it's a little bit like it doesn't sound so good in English. It's just
mhm.
the title,
like
right? You don't
it's
have to
like
say it's.
title
Yeah, it's the title
yeah,
of the text. So, but
or
in Tibet,
entitled.
yeah, entitled. Yeah, exactly. Entitled.
Mhm.
Dun, 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 dun. So it's like you can
Mhm.
say entitled. Dun, 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 dun. But to be honest, I would leave it untranslated because it
Okay.
just doesn't sound good in English.
Yeah. So here,
And
maybe it's in the middle because it it is, the title is just to the left of it, and after it is what a more detailed,
yeah,
some
like a
kind of
subtitle.
further details. Yeah,
Yeah,
subtitle. Okay,
it's
okay.
like a subtitle. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's true. So we can have this as a title, like
Mhm.
I'm gonna say like the ornament of precious liberation of the sacred dharma, which is like a wish fulfilling jewel.
Mhm.
Just to say something.
Uh-huh.
and then the subtitle will be the the explanation, the Shepa explanation of the stages of the path of the Mahayana, of the two rivers, of the two streams. The two streams,
Oh, the two streams.
which are the, and then if you were
Mhm.
translating and you want to be scholastic, the two streams you would put a note, and in the bottom of the page you put the two streams are, the Kadam
Yeah, yeah,
and the lineage of Mahamudra lineage of Milarepa, which Gampopa united,
yeah.
because if you see that two streams, you're like, what are the two streams? Kind
Mhm.
of weird.
Mhm.
So then you pass your exam, you get a name, and you get your degree, and everybody thinks you're cool. So that's yep. I'm gonna keep it loose. I'm not gonna go straight like this. This is the translation, but I want
Yeah,
us
yeah.
to get the ball rolling. Think about the
Yeah,
prophet.
yeah. So yeah, please, so that you're right, so that we understand it all, and then it's just a matter of how you would like to express it in English,
Yeah.
one way or another. But somehow,
The
yeah. For
key.
example, I
Mhm.
got very satisfied in this case that I'm getting, and it's like super cool that I'm getting it in Tibetan. Like you said, you might translate it in English one way or another, but it's another ball game.
Yeah. To be honest, if you get it in Tibetan, that's the best, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then like no need to like get crazy translating.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my opinion, but some people like to translate, and they have a standardized way of translating, which is also useful because of
Yeah.
course we
Sure.
work very hard to learn this, right? But
Exactly.
not everybody wants to learn Tibetan, so they also need Dharma,
Yeah.
so we have to
Yeah.
facilitate. That's also a responsibility we have a little bit now that we know a little bit of Tibetan.
And I think those two people, Alan Willis and Eva
Uh-huh.
Natanya, are for me like the real master class
Yeah.
level.
I was impressed how fast they translated. Like that
Yeah.
would have taken me a long time, These guys are like, I couldn't believe how fast they're translating. And I know that, for example, uh, Eva Yangchen she told me she's revising all of Lama Alan's
Yes.
Duyung Limpa's compilation which is like, it's a lot, it's like
Yeah.
a couple of thousand pages. It's like,
Wow.
yeah, it's like, it's
Ah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's a Yeah, I think that's why they can translate it so easily, They do this all the time. It's just practice, of course, but
Yeah.
Yeah, they
uh,
swim in the oceans of Tibetan.
yeah. Yeah, so this is the title. We have 5 minutes. Maybe I'll just mention something here.
Mhm.
So there's always an homage.
Mhm.
And so in Tibetan, if you pay homage to Manjushri, it's a text that is focused on, I forget it, to be honest, I forget exactly, but depending on what deity you pay homage to, it tells you what kind of text it is.
Mhm.
So because he's paying homage to Manjushri, I think is considered like a text that is emphasizing wisdom, because Manjushri is a wisdom deity, but I cannot recall right now if it's yeah, I cannot tell you exactly. I'm sorry guys, I forgot how it works, which deity, but if you pay homage to, I think if you pay homage to Buddha Shakyamuni, it's related to Sutra. If the
Mhm.
deity who you're paying homage to is
Mhm.
telling you what kind of text it is.
Mhm.
I just want to point that out. Unfortunately, I cannot recall in my class which kind of text, but it's something related to wisdom, because we're paying homage to Manjushri here. And there's always the text always starts with homage. Every single text in Tibetan literature will start with an homage. And this is the title and homage. So like, we have a couple of minutes. I'll just go breeze through it.
Mhm.
But then in terms of our homework, let's see. We will do this, and then maybe let me think how.
I'm just saying, Daniel, I would actually love for you to dump something on me, or
Yeah,
or
for
for everyone. I'm just saying, yeah, this is cool.
to get
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how much I can get without like overwhelming you guys, because we have a week also, right? We only meeting once a
Yeah.
week.
Right.
Would you guys just want to go through the whole first page? Is that too much?
Well, you know, I've tried
Two.
to do the homework for today on lesson 7, and I worked for the entire day and did just 10 sentences. I worked very hard from
Yeah.
early morning.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not like Alan Wallace yet. Far from it. Very, very far.
Okay, let's see. In that case, we will do the homage for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say up until let me nobody too low. Okay, up until this low.
Yeah, I would say,
Okay.
at least for me, this will be
Yeah.
sort of the upper end of
Yeah.
what I'm capable of.
Yeah, we will reach until this low, okay?
And I will have to stretch
It's about
myself
half.
hard.
Yeah, it's about halfway. Half of the
Yeah. But probably it's worth it
No,
to
but this
stretch
will be
myself.
this is more fun than doing the unrelated little
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
That's more like your training, you know. But this is now you are
Yeah.
actually
The real deal.
now this is the real deal. Yeah, exactly. This is more
No,
fun.
even the title was such a cool experience to get it. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is a real text, a real title.
Yeah. And it was written by Gampopa. This is how Gampopa and then line being conceptualized it, you know.
Yeah.
It's really amazing actually. This is how they thought, you know, this is the conceptual framework they used. Just a couple of notes when you translate, I'll give you a few clues. So from here on, this is the question, okay? And this is the answer. This is a question, this is the answer. This is a question, and this is the answer. Okay? So
Interesting.
he's gonna ask a question and then he's gonna answer. He's gonna ask a question and he's gonna answer. Okay? Just
And you also
keep this
said,
in mind.
and Daniel, I think this came up previously, but in looking at these discrete segments, that I think we now know that these are divided this way in order to get the same number of syllables per section, but we don't actually know where the verbs are, right? I mean, if the verbs could be any place within here, or do we know at the end of each
Well,
of these
usually
chunks there's a verb?
in the end, actually, this is not versed. There's no verses. These are like sentences you can think of. Yeah.
Okay.
This is not a verse. This is just prose. Yeah.
So we would be correct in assuming that at the end of these sentences, if we could call them a sentence, that we should expect to find a verb.
Yeah, more or less. For example, let's see. Okay, I'll take this, okay? Nampa is appearance. Tulpa is confusion. In.
Yeah.
So the appearance is confusion.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. The appearance of what? Korwa Shejawa ni, as that for what is called Korwa, samsara.
Uh-huh.
Rangshin is nature. Tongpa ni yin. The nature of samsara, of that which is called samsara, is Tongpa ni, emptiness. It's
So also, Daniel, you said in the and I'm calling them chunks now, and I know this is the wrong, it's the wrong.
oh, it's okay, it's okay. Chunks are good.
I mean, the top of this page is the title. Then you said the second piece of it was the homage.
Yeah.
In this, I'll call it a paragraph. In this third paragraph you're in now, this is the what is this doing?
This is the text. We're already on the text.
Oh, this is the text. Okay,
This
got
is
it.
the text, yeah.
Mhm.
We're already on it.
Swimming in the wild ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
so it's basically I'll do a little run through just of the couple of lines just to get rolling. So chir is generally chutamche all dharmas, korwa of samsara, dan nyangen the depa is nirvana, ni both su within do so are contained, are gathered in the
Mhm.
both samsara. All dharmas are contained within samsara and nirvana.
Hmm.
Then he's gonna tell us more. What exactly are all these dharmas contained in samsara and nirvana?
Yeah, very exciting.
Dela, from there, ta 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 ta. Okay, this is cool. This is fun actually. Now, this is cool, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's really so.
Yeah.
And Daniel, just so I don't feel like I'm cheating. I mean, so
Uh-huh.
is I have a very limited grasp of vocabulary. So I mean, it is acceptable for uh an old man with inferior faculty such as myself to do, copy what I think is the word I'm looking for, and then
Mhm.
using a dictionary or going
Oh,
back
of course.
to
Oh no, dictionary we
okay.
have
I
to
mean,
use.
how would
No,
you
we have to
otherwise
use.
do it?
Yeah, yeah. We have to use
Okay, okay,
dictionary.
cool.
That's why the
Okay.
first thing I taught you guys is to use the dictionary. Without dictionary it's impossible. Yeah, yeah.
And I will tell you, I was studying Sanskrit with a phenomenal teacher, Rupal,
Uh-huh.
and she was saying that use all sorts of things that you consider cheating. In the
Mhm.
worst case, it's still better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
You
Okay.
still somehow do something,
Yeah.
right? Rather than not doing anything.
Yeah. And the dictionary, of course, we need it because we don't know the words. The key here is the idea of doing this is to understand the grammar, actually.
Okay.
That's the thing. And then if you try to translate it, as you try to translate it, then you will figure out what the grammar is. The translation will force you to analyze the grammar in order to be able to translate it.
I just want to make sure you didn't actually think that we knew all these words.
No, of course not. Of course not. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I
Okay.
don't expect it. As you see these words again and again, then you will get them, you know. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Okay. So
That's-
have fun with this. We will meet
yes.
on Wednesday for another kind of book with another kind of grammar. And that's
Oh,
it, guys.
Wednesday.
Oh, sorry, my
Tuesday next.
Wednesday. My Wednesday, Tuesday, your Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, sorry.
yeah.
Okay, guys.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, sorry we're
Thank
a little
you.
bit late, but it's okay. Sonam digitam jesi pani tomne nyepe tonam pamche nichi gana chi balong tupai. Sipet sole towa dolware show. Chanchup sam chorin poche mache banam chi yurchi.